everyone, welcome back to another video. So today I'm doing my January wrap up. So January I read 4 books, which is less than normal for me, but like I said, I'm still coming out of my reading slump. So pretty happy with 4 books. That was my goal for January anyway, was just 4 books. So did do that. I read one nonfiction and 3 fiction books. So I'll just jump right into it. The first one that I read was Atomic Habits by James Clear. This was the nonfiction book that I read. I gave this 4 stars. This one is all about our habits, how to break bad habits and set good ones that you'll stick to. It gives you a lot of practical tips on how to make small changes in your life that in the long run will add up to a big result. So a lot of the stuff in here, like I already knew, but it was like a good reminder to have it. And then there was some stuff that I'm like, oh, that's really helpful. Also, in January, the church that I go to did a sermon series on atomic habits based on the book. So we had a 3 week sermon series on it. So it was really cool seeing that because I had just finished reading the book before we started the sermon series. So it was pretty cool just having the two go hand in hand right at the beginning of the year. So yeah, if you're wanting to make some big changes in 2020, if you're wanting to break some habits or set new ones, this is definitely a good book to help you with that. The next book I finished in January was Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. This was my first Leigh Bardugo book that I've read. I do have her other duology. I have the Six of Crows duology. I have not read it yet. And I need to read the is it Grisha trilogy? I don't know if I'm saying that right. But I still need to read that, and then I want to read the Six of Crows duology. But this was my first book by her. This was an adult urban fantasy / mystery type of book. I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. And it's about a girl named Alex who has gone through a lot of hard stuff in her life. And she's given the second chance where she can attend Yale as a student. But she's tasked with monitoring the secret societies that are on campus. So Yale has these different secret societies, and her and another character named Darlington are basically supposed to monitor them and make sure, they're not breaking any rules or, doing things they shouldn't be doing. And these societies all involve magic. So each society has some sort of link to magic. And so they have to make sure that, they're not breaking any rules with the magic or doing things they shouldn't. So, but then a woman in town is found murdered, and Alex begins to investigate because she thinks the societies are somehow tied to this woman's murder. So she starts her own little investigation into this. I will say this is a book that took me a while to get into, but then once I got into it, I really enjoyed it. You get two perspectives in the beginning. You get Alex and Darlington's perspective. I liked Alex's perspective. I didn't really care much for Darlington's. Um, so yeah, I mean, whenever I read his chapters, I was like, okay, I gotta read your chapter. But I couldn't wait to get back to Alex's chapters. So that was kind of one of the things for me. It also goes back and forth between two different timelines. So some of it is like, some of the timelines has been what's happened in the past, and what's happened in Alex's life in the past, and then we get the present timeline as well. I will say towards the end things got so much better, and I love seeing the mystery unravel and unfold and the twists and turns it took. Some of it I was like, ooh, I knew you were involved. You just, some of it was like, yeah, you knew something was up. But then some of the other twists, I'm like, what the heck? What just happened? What are we getting here? So there were some really cool twists towards the end. I'm somewhat interested in the sequel, in continuing with the sequel, but not 100%. I'm not sure because I know the sequel is probably going to focus more on Darlington. And like I said in the beginning, he wasn't a character I really cared about. I mean, I didn't not like him. Like, he's there, he's not, whatever. So I don't know how I'm going to feel about the sequel because I think it's going to mainly focus on him, his story. So we'll see. Um, I'm not opposed to picking up the sequel, but it's not something I think I'll get to right away when it comes out. Then the next book I finished was A Heart So Fierce and Broken by Bridget Khmer. This is the sequel to A Curse So Dark and Lonely, which I absolutely loved. Okay, so I loved A Curse So Dark and Lonely when I read it last year in 2019. It became a favorite of mine in 2019. And this one, the sequel, A Heart So Fierce and Broken, is now a favorite of mine in 2020. This sequel definitely did not disappoint, at least not for me. I know some people didn't really love the sequel. It wasn't what they were expecting, or it didn't live up to their expectations, but I loved the sequel. It does focus more on Gray and some new characters that were introduced to in this sequel. So we don't get to see Harper and Ren too much in this story, which is my only downside to this. So I gave this book 4.5 stars. So my only downside was I wanted to see more of Ren and Harper, but we didn't really get that in this one. We see them a little bit, but not for very long. Um, so, like I said, it really focused on Gray's character, his story, and we're introduced to a new character called Leah Mara, and she's the daughter of Ren's enemy. And so we get her storyline as well. And of course, eventually hers and Gray's story kind of intertwine as they are on this adventure together. So I really liked it. I really liked Gray's story. I liked Leah Mara's story. I like Leah Mara's character. I know some people don't like her character, or they didn't like her at first, but then they started to like her by the end. I actually liked her character. She's definitely not Harper, but I still did really like her character, and I enjoyed her story. I will say the one other thing I didn't like so much was how quickly Gray and Leah Mara's relationship progressed. I wanted it to be more of that slow burn like we got with Harper and Ren in the first book. I felt like their relationship in the first book was kind of a slow burn, and I wanted more of that with Gray and Liamara, but I felt like theirs progressed way more quickly. But other than that, I really enjoyed it. I loved the ending and the twist that we get at the end. I loved seeing that. And oh my gosh, I'm super excited for the next book. I cannot wait to see what happens next, where the story goes. Can't wait for the next book. So, favorite of 2020 for sure. And the last book that I have on this list is Lock Every Door by Riley Sager. This is the second Riley Sager book I've read so far. I read his other book, Final Girls, a couple of years ago, and I absolutely loved that one. So this was the second book of his that I picked up, and I did enjoy it, but not as much as Final Girls. And Final Girls is still one of my favorites, but I did enjoy this one. I gave it 3.5 stars. And this is a mystery thriller. It's about a girl named Jules who's kind of down on her luck. She lost her job, just broke up with her boyfriend, lost the place where she was living because she was living with her boyfriend, but then when they broke up, she moved out. So she's kind of down on her luck. And then she finds out this, she gets this opportunity to become an apartment sitter at this, luxurious grand apartment complex. It's called the Bartholomew. And so she's going to be getting paid $12,000 for 3 months just to live in this fancy, nice apartment. And for most people, you're thinking, heck yeah, where do I sign up, right? So that's kind of where Jules is thinking too. But there's a downside to the job. There's a lot of strict rules that come with living at the Bartholomew. So, like, she can't have any visitors over ever. She can't spend a night away from the apartment. She's not allowed to talk to or interact with the other residents that live there. So, there's a lot of strange rules. And they kind of give you reasons why for that. But there's like a lot of red flags going off. And Jules' best friend, she tells her, I don't know about this. This place, with all the rules, there's a lot of red flags. But Jules is like, she's desperate for the money, the income. And so, she kind of ignores the red flag and stays there anyway. And shortly after she moves in, one of her neighbors that she met, named Ingrid, she's another apartment sitter that lives on the floor below her, she goes missing. And so now Jules is like trying to figure out what's going on and what really happened to her. So that's pretty much the premise of the story. And this one has two timelines as well that it takes place. So one timeline is, at the beginning when we start off, we see that Jules had just been in an accident. So she's somewhere recovering, and, there's doctors and nurses attending to her. And so we start off with that one timeline, and then we go back a few days before her accident, when right before she moves into the Bartholomew, we see those days before leading up to the time of the accident. So we kind of go back and forth between those two. And I like how that was done. I think it was done really well. So we have the now, the present day, and then it'll go back. It'll say 3 days earlier, 2 days earlier, 1 day earlier. So I liked that back and forth between the two timelines. I think it worked really well in here. I will say I thought the beginning was a little bit slow, but it does get better. It does pick up a bit after. Jules' character did annoy me just a little bit because she made a lot of these dumb decisions that I'm just like, what are you thinking? Like, where is your head right now? That's the one thing that kind of annoys me with characters is when a character makes really stupid decisions that they don't have to make. I get if they were like sort of forced into a situation or they were forced to make a certain decision and, circumstances, they had to do this or that. But when you have a choice and you're not like really stuck in a certain situation and yet you're making certain dumb decisions, I'm just like, really, I cannot feel bad for you. Like, if you get hurt, it's your own damn fault, and I can't feel bad for that because you were dumb. So I get annoyed with characters like that. So yeah, she did annoy me a bit, but whatever. I was a little bit disappointed with the ending. I don't think it's a bad ending. I didn't expect the twist that was there. I didn't see that twist coming. And it reminded me of a movie. I won't tell you what movie it is because then it'll give away the twist. But it did remind me of this one movie I watched last year. But yeah, it's, like I said, it's not a bad ending, and the twist was pretty good. It's just, it wasn't what I was expecting. I guess I was just expecting more from the ending, but it was still a pretty good ending. So now I definitely do want to pick up Riley's other book, The Last Time I Lied. So I haven't read that one yet, and I think that might be the only other book of his that I haven't read yet. So I want to check that one out as well, because I do like his writing style. I like the mysteries that he does. So yeah, I want to check out that one as well. So that's it for this video. Those are the books that I read in January. Let me know in the comments down below what books you read in January. And also let me know if you've read any of these books, what you thought about them. And that's pretty much it. Make sure to like this video, subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet, and I will see you guys next time with another one. Bye!